James Ernest of The Grueling Truth, here with author Greg Zuckerman. Greg, tell us what inspired your Rise Above series.
So, my sons and I decided on taking on this project for different reasons. I did it for a fun project to do with my sons. I'm a writer. I wanted to show them how much pleasure you can get by talking to people and learning from their lives. Eldest is a real bookworm, and he wanted the idea. He wanted the challenge. Wanted to take on the challenge of figuring out how to convey his writing and to kind of step it up and do a real book as part of it. And my youngest just loves sports and meeting players. But the three of us had in common a goal of teaching in some ways young people and showing them some lessons. And that's what we tried to do. And when we talked to all the athletes, we asked them, what lessons can we share with young people? And I think that's why players were so, I think, excited to talk to us, not so much to talk to us, but to try to convey something to the next generation, to young people, because of all that they went through. And they don't want others to suffer the way they did. And sometimes it's about the way their bodies are and the insecurities they had growing up, be it Simone Biles, who we had a pleasure, and my wife also participated in talking to her. And some of these young people, unfortunately, grew up a little bit insecure about who they were and how they looked, and they wanted to convey that to the next generation. So again, that was our ultimate goal, to try to entertain but also inspire young people.
You definitely achieved that with the first book about the education part, being chosen by the Scholastic Teacher magazine as one of the top picks, and then recommended by the Texas Library Association. So it definitely seems like educators were embracing your message.
Yeah, and we also were thrilled that we've gotten letters, emails, and such from parents saying that their young children never used to read or haven't really been comfortable or never got pleasure reading until they picked up the book. And that was a hope of ours, that, not everyone loves reading, and today there are more challenges than ever to get young people to read. But when you're in sports and athletes and stars, and some of the lessons that maybe are relevant to them, because, the ultimate lesson we learned anyway from writing both these books, the second book, which is focused on female athletes, but the first one, which has a mix, is that everybody has some sort of difference. Everyone has some sort of insecurity. Some people have dealt with racism and physical differences, and we write about those. But even just normal average kids are dealing with their own stuff, as it were. And in their own way, it's big. It's a big deal. So they all seem to relate to what these athletes overcame. So that's really been gratifying, getting parents who write to us and say, hey, my kid never used to enjoy reading, and now they picked up this book and they really like some of the characters and like some of the stories, and now I see them reading on their own. So that's been really gratifying.
Yeah, the new one in your Rise Above series, the Inspiring Women in Sports, do you feel that is a very empowering book to young women and young readers?
I think it is, in that that's sort of what the lessons, that was the lesson that each of these women told us to share with other people, how they could do anything. And if you're a woman, you could do anything. It used to be, I'm a little bit older, and it used to be sort of frowned upon if you're competing in sports, if you're a woman, or it just wasn't as. And today, it's really changed. And that's one thing that each of these athletes told us, how thrilled they are when they talk to young people, how things have changed. But you still have insecurities. You still have in racial and other issues that we have to confront in society. And that's what each of the women had to deal with, be it Venus and Serena growing up. They were really the only black female tennis players that they were aware of that were on that kind of level, and they were dominant from an early age. And you would think, okay, they had it easy, but they really didn't. And that's what we talked to. Venus spent a lot of time with us, and she was generous with her time and shared some of those lessons. And even going back in history, we write about Wilma Rudolph, who not everyone is familiar with, but what she overcame is really remarkable and dramatic, and she was a pioneer in some ways. So we wanted to go back a little bit in history as well, at least have one pioneer like Wilma.
Who just missed the cut? Babe Dietrichson, Danica Patrick, who was on the almost made the book.
I don't want to disparage them, but there were some people that didn't quite overcome as much. We had a high bar, and that's what my sons and I spent a lot of time in the first book as well, researching and looking at players. And, you needed to, unfortunately, overcome a lot to be in our books. So, yeah, you've had some setback. You became a superstar. That's nice. But we're talking about stuff that happened in your past. We're talking about people, stars who overcame, physical differences, some close to suicide for various different things. Some people had sexual and physical abuse that they had to deal with. So, sadly, these stars both were superstars and world-class athletes that we all know, but they also have overcome more than I hope you and I and our children and your fans will have to deal with. So yeah, people are remarkable in their own right because of not just who they are on the sporting field, but in their personal lives and how they are as people. They're all good people too. There's some people like, I don't want to say who, but there was an athlete that who actually overcame a lot growing up in a really difficult area, but supposedly the athlete's kind of a jerk. So I didn't think that was a good model for young people. And each of the people, I do have to say, I mean, in our new book, we've spoken to them, and Carrie Strug, the spent so much time, and she was generous with her time, and just nice people. Bethany Hamilton, Swing Cash, they're all really impressive on the field, but they're good people too. I mean, again, for Venus Williams to spend some time with us, it was really gratifying to see how sweet they were. And Simone Biles, sweet young woman. So we were happy that these people both overcame a lot, but also are good people.
Exactly. I mean, you're looking for quality role models for the book, and it sounds like you definitely found them with the young ladies that you end up having in the book.
I think so, and I think their lessons also are relevant to today's young people. We try to get them to kind of focus on what lessons they have to pass on to today's people, not people necessarily my age, and even people younger than my sons. They're at this point, my sons is 15, and one of them, and my youngest is 15, my eldest now is 19, so we really wanted to ask okay, give us some lessons from your life. What should young people today, 11-year-old today, take from your life? Be it Monet Davis, who's not too much older, baseball player, overcame a lot, became a superstar, and the black female player in the Little League World Series. Obviously, Simone, everyone knows Simone Biles. These are people that know, that we all know, but we want to go a little bit further than that and ask them kind of what can they share with young people today.
What advancements do you see coming up in the future in women's sports? I mean, did the young ladies talk about that, how they feel that they're going to keep progressing?
Well, they all talked about how much easier it is, thankfully, today for young women than it was when they were young and when people in past generations were setting out to become athletes and maybe even try to make their mark in the world in sports as a star potentially. It's just, for example, I was suggesting earlier, if you talk to a gymnast like a Carrie Strug we did, or Simone Biles, when they were younger and they were developing muscles, and they were powerful young women with strong leg muscles and arm muscles, they had to hide it going to school, and people made fun of them. They would wear sweatshirts. They both talked about they had insecurities about their bodies. Other women also. I mean, Ronda Rousey spent a lot of time worried about how she looked, and I think today that's improved. I'm not going to say that we've solved that issue, but it does seem today that if you're a strong young woman, you aren't made fun of like these women told us they were. And listen, I understand what's happening today. People get made fun of for everything, and there's Facebook, which in some ways it makes it much harder for young people, and social media in general. I get that, and the women talked about that. They gave advice. I mean, Venus really, she spent some time just talking about how you have to believe in yourself and be true to yourself and love yourself and not worry about what other people think. So I do think it's improved a little bit, but today's young people have their own challenges.
Who would you like to think? Who was very influential with making the book happen?
Well, we had, I have a wife, and my sons have a mother who indulged us and let us do our thing. And, there's a lot of work, obviously. There's travel involved, going to meet the different players, and waiting online, and waiting after events, and the publisher was very encouraging. And so there were a lot of people behind the scenes, but I mostly want to thank my sons for doing this with me and indulging me as a father. I mean, I had this vision, but they bought into it, and we stayed up late at night and researching players. And like you suggested earlier, some made the cut and some didn't. So we don't see the labor that goes into it for the people that we talk to that didn't necessarily match up. They weren't necessarily the best people. They don't fit the book. So we try to whittle it down and to try to find the very best sports stars who also are role models, and overcame a lot and different types of things. Again, so you had somebody like Wilma Rudolph, who as a very young girl, she was afflicted by polio, and the doctors told her she couldn't walk. And this is 1946. She's a 6-year-old, and she dreams like everybody else, but she had polio in her left leg, and she ended up spending hours a week doing these painful exercises in a hospital that was just for African Americans at the time, and she wore this heavy leg brace, and it really left an impression on my sons and on me. She eventually learned to walk and learned to run and was an Olympic champion runner. So a lot of these stories just left real impressions on us. I mean, Serena, they would have to clear off on the tennis court glass. Their father said, if you want to practice, you've got to clean off this tennis court in a tough area of Los Angeles, and glass and dirt and garbage that was thrown on the court. And they were made fun of sometimes at tennis tournaments, and they overcame a lot. So again, a lot of these women are both impressive on the field, but also off the field.
What's next for you? Do you have a topic lined up for the next book?
I'm personally working on a book in the financial world, an adult book. Back to my putting on my other hat, I work at the Wall Street Journal, so I've got a book I'm working on in that world. But my sons and I are talking about a third book, Rising Above. But first, we're going to focus on this one. We're really excited about the new one, focused on women, and it'd be nice. Hopefully, we can inspire, just like we did with the first one. We're hoping maybe some new readers who aren't as comfortable and just don't enjoy reading as much as they should or they could. Now, maybe we'll pick up our book, Rising Above, and try out, hear some of the stories, and be inspired just like we were. I mean, your first question was, why did we do this? Partly it's, and maybe largely, to be inspired ourselves, and we really were by these 10 amazing, remarkable female athletes. So we're hoping other people are just as inspired as we were.
Exactly. I mean, when their stories are educating, they're enlightening, they're empowering, and they're going to hopefully inspire that next generation of athlete, female and male, to rise above and to be their best, it sounds like.
We really hoping so. And it's not just for people into sports. I think we can all learn some lessons from these people, just like we can learn lessons from remarkably people in every field. But yes, we can all rise above and overcome and take some lessons from those who already have.
with social media and websites, what ones should fans of your series follow you at?
Oh, so I'm on Twitter. I'm on some other social media, but I'm mostly all day on Twitter as a writer. One can't escape Twitter today, and there's a lot of benefit, and we interact with our fans. My sons are also on Twitter, and but they're on things like I'm on LinkedIn as well, so if people want to join there. I don't know if young people are as interested, but Instagram as well. Sons are on. So, but first come to Gregory to my Twitter, and I can. We have a web page as well.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you, Greg, for coming on the show. It was a great book. Really enjoyed reading it, and I'm sure the young fans will enjoy it as well. And like you said, it's about changing lives and educating, and I think you've definitely accomplished your goal.
We're trying, and I salute you as well for your work and for inspiring and people out there. So, yeah, keep up the good work as well.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.